Life experience is a lesson we have to learn from his life and his ideas. Along the very many sessions we've had here, we've witnessed outstanding speakers, wonderful lecturers, not only because of the knowledge, but wonderful human beings, excellent speakers, presenting ideas. If I had to say something about Balbir, I would say he is a very experienced person, with a lot of knowledge, with strength and sensitivity, hard-working person, but with commitment, commitment for other people, commitment, helping people, helping the other. Balbir, and he will lecture along 45 minutes, will explain his ideas, what he does at the foundation, Trees for Life, the one he has created to eradicate hunger and poverty worldwide. It is a very ambitious objective, but with his support, with his commitment, with his hard work, he is achieving what was considered a difficult barrier to conquer. He said it is impossible to give solutions on how to destroy hunger, how to cope with this ambitious challenge. But I would like to give my viewpoints. I'd like to prove you that if we take this leverage, I would like to say where we should concentrate our efforts to make it move on the right direction. Without further ado, we have Balbir Mathur. Let's give a big applause to Professor Balbir Mathur.
Antes de que él comience su exposición, vamos a ver un pequeño vídeo.
We're going to enjoy this video.
Trees for Life is located in this old school building in Wichita, but its power lies in the quiet hearts of the people whose vision branches out all over the world. Working together, their silence is changing lives. It started with Balbir Mathur from India, who came to this country and studied business management. But through his extensive world travels, he saw a need to fight poverty and world hunger. In 1983, he founded Trees for Life, a nonprofit agency that most think simply helps people in poor countries plant trees. But it is so much more than that. Balbir and his staff empower people in poor countries with information and show them that working together means they will grow together.
Because it's only one channel that is ordinary text. Can you play it again? Because the not there.
It was hope in its clearest, most beautiful sense that I've ever seen.
We have to do our best right now, but think 1,000 years ahead. How will your action affect years from now? Because they do.
The Trees for Life organization is like the roots of a giant tree, unseen, quiet, but so necessary for growth. By working with people and letting them see the power of their own minds, this nearly invisible organization is changing the world, one tree, one life, one heart at a time.
For those of us that have the ability to reach out and touch those people who really need our help, I've not seen anybody do it as well as Trees for Life.
It's like a beautiful symphony going on. And I don't know the entire mystery. I cannot see the entire cast. I just have to play my small instrument and do the very best that I possibly can. Whatever you learn, teach it to 2 other people and ask them to do the same. We say to people that you have unlimited potential, and we sincerely, honestly believe that.
Wow, what a legacy. I can't think of anything better. Balbir he's an angel. You know, he's a gift from God.
Yeah, brother.
Thank you very much for allowing me this forum to visit with you. I have come here to communicate 2 very simple points. Number 1 is that I'm here as a representative of the poorest of the poor in the world. Perhaps one of the few voices. And the second is that each one of us has such a huge potential. And the potential that you possess here, each one as an individual. But collectively, when we are all gathered here, this audience here right now can literally change the world. Literally. Beyond a shadow of doubt. What we need to do is to understand the fulcrum. Where do we put the pressure? I'm going to talk about that. I'm not going to talk about my work or anything. I'm going to see how we can explore a fulcrum where you could be involved today if you want to. Or I can be involved, or we can all be involved. I'm going to tell you a small story why I'm bringing this perspective to you. I was 8 years old, and at that time, India was occupied by the British. And to make a very long story short, there were 2 soldiers, British soldiers. And we were all on a bike. And one of the soldiers uttered a word which is today commonly used all over the world, but at that time in my family, or at least we kids could not utter those words. That was considered very bad. And he said that word in Indian. And I was so shocked and surprised that a Britisher knew that word and could utter it. So in amazement, for the first time in my life, I know I uttered that word. You can say that? Well, he didn't hear the other part, but he heard me and he thought I'm saying that word to him. We were all on bikes. He got down. 2 of them actually got down. And one of them reached out and slapped me here on this cheek, which I can even feel today. At that time, I felt it with a different sense, and I'll tell you how I feel it today, even when I'm here. When he slapped me, there must have gathered 10, 12 people around there, and none of them could say even one word. And as a child, time stood still for me. World stopped at that split second. And I was seeing myself from a perspective, from a point somewhere different than where I was. And I was seeing these statues of these 8 or 10 people standing still, totally powerless. Powerless people. I was angry as I could get. And I decided that from this point onwards, it is my mission to kill as many Britishers as I can ever find. I was dedicated to that cause. I became a bully. I wanted to learn how to fight, how to box, how to wrestle, everything. Then when I was 12 years old, an event took place. Mahatma Gandhi died. Now, being in that mode of hating the British, Mahatma Gandhi stood as far philosophically from me as I stood, because he was saying to every one of us, turn the other cheek. That if he slapped you here, why don't you turn the other cheek? And I was not about to do that. But the day he died, I cried all night long. I did not sleep for 1 second. In the morning, when sun rose, I felt that there was no more anger left in me. And from that day, anger did leave for me, not only against the British, but for anything else that can happen. So I considered those 2 soldiers my angels, because they turned my life around. But my anger disappeared, but the question became, why are some people more powerful than the other? And the quest in my life became to find what makes people powerful and what does not make people powerful. As I started to study, I discovered that we confuse the word force with power. Power and force are 2 totally different things, but we confuse them in our vocabulary, in our daily use. Power is something very, very positive. Force is something very destructive. But we confuse those 2 things. Now I'm going to share something about power. And I'm going to share it with you from the perspective of the downtrodden who have no power. You know, if we take the history of the entire humankind right from beginning, it can be described, the whole history of humankind can be described in 2 sentences. This species discovered how to take 2 pieces of stone or wood or something and create motion and friction through motion. And as a result, what happened? Fire emerged. Human beings are the only species on the planet that have been able to domesticate fire. No other species can do that. And this existed for 1.5 million years, that they could domesticate fire, and fire became power. We called it firepower. That allowed us to travel, that allowed us to conquer lands, that allowed us to burn other people's houses or huts, or kill them, or shoot arrows, or whatever it needed. Some 200 years ago, we found the complement or the opposite of that formula. That not only motion creates fire, But fire also creates motion. See, the whole history of humankind is, first we discovered that motion can create fire. And after 1.5 million years, we discover that fire can create motion. It's a very recent phenomena in our human knowledge, in our human history. Very recent, just like yesterday. But look what happened as a result. Industrial age started, which is very new in our whole history. Not even a few seconds ago in human history. And it created an immense amount of power for us. Previously, we could dig a hole, we could take a shovel and might dig 5, 10 pounds of dirt. Now a shovel could take out 20 tons, 100 tons, or 200 tons at one scoop. Previously, we could walk 3 miles an hour. Or if we were on a horseback, perhaps 8 miles an hour. But now, we can travel 20 or even 30,000 miles an hour on a rocket. The whole dimensions change. Previously, we could build a mud hut. Now we can build superstructures which are beyond our imagination, beyond magic. We could create, as a result, science developed tremendously. Arts developed. Previously, if I had to make a screw, I might have spent 1 week on it trying to create one screw by hand. Now I just have to push a button and it'll create millions of screws and I can go and watch my favorite TV show. The time it created for us. And for the first time in human understanding, we changed the whole dimensions, because since the beginning of our species, in whatever shape it was, we always faced scarcity. Always. Hunger, scarcity, you were born with it. But in one scoop, by understanding that formula, we created a world of surplus. I don't need million screws. I can push a button, it will create million screws for me overnight, literally. Or bullets, or whatever I want to do. I can't use them. And for the first time, the prospect became, when we can feed the world, when we can all live happily ever after. Products don't bring happiness, but in mythological terms. But for the first time, it became a reality. But it did not come true. There were two fundamental problems with it. One was that the speed with which our tools could create things started to fulfill or fill our world in a way. We were loaded with things, whether it's carbon dioxide or whether it is foul water or you name it, and all these problems are being discussed. These are all problems of surplus. Too much surplus. The best analogy I can give you is perhaps like an egg. When an egg is laid by a bird or chicken or whatever, there's an infinitesimal small life in it, perhaps the size of an atom. Very soon what it happens, it starts to eat on those resources that it has. And nature provides immense amount of resources. But within a few days, provided the right atmosphere, 3-4 weeks, it uses up all its nutrients there. The air becomes foul now. Its arms are grown, legs are grown, body is grown, chest is grown, lungs are grown. And it's breathing, but there's no more air. It is limited. And we have almost reached that stage. Now, with our production system, our body, our things started to grow so fast that we have a problem of pollution, problems of economics, problem of this and that's what we're discussing right now. Surplus created that. But there was another hindrance. And this is perhaps as large or bigger why we may not be able to achieve our dreams. And that is that our tools can change their nature, change their form, increase their speeds and other things at a tremendous volume, tremendous speed. Changes that used to take place over millenniums can now take place in every decade, every day almost. We find new gadgets coming up, new speed, new... previously, what a letter might take a month from here to there, just a postcard. Today, I can send email around the world 10 times in just split seconds. So, tools have increased their nature tremendously, but the human psyche does not change easily. It is very, very, very cumbersome and slow. So we are still acting as a human species in the old paradigm when there was scarcity. We have not gotten used to, because this surplus is so new for us, that we are acting as if there was scarcity. And this mixture of our ability to produce and our psyche, that is perhaps 10,000 years old or perhaps 1,000,000 years old, has not adjusted to what we have today. So these are the major two problems that have come up. Now it's a race between humankind. If we persist on that paradigm, then it is not a crisis, it is a doom that is facing us on our face, because that egg, which is getting filled up very, very rapidly, and we are so comfortable with that egg, we don't want to break it. We still want to say, how do we persist in that old shell? And that's what we are all trying to do. How do we preserve that old shell? Call it by whatever name you want to call it, doesn't make any difference. But we are preserving the old shell. If this bird has to survive, it has to break that shell. We have to think out of the box. We can no longer afford to think in old terms. Because if we do, our children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren will have no place. And they'll ask us the question, where were you at that time when that was happening? This shell will break one way or the other. Change will be forced upon us. If we persist on it, we would either destroy our world, and then there is nothing to bargain about, nothing to talk about, and one day we will fight and destroy it by whatever weapons we have. And that's a realistic possibility. It's not an ideal chatter, idle chatter. It's a reality. But we are not willing to face it. We would rather talk of hope rather than the doom that faces us right in our face. The other possibility is that we take some action. And I present to you that this will require two fundamental things. Number one, we will have to change our definition of growth. Our definition of growth is tied to how much we can produce. If we continue on that road, absolute doom is guaranteed, in my opinion. That's one person's opinion. We have to change our definition of growth. What the new one is open for debate. And the second one is, which will jar you all, I hope it does, that we will have to change our system of distribution. Our system of distribution is based on the age of scarcity. And it was very, very good when we started our industrial age, 200, 300 years ago, 200 years ago. And it has done wonders up to a certain time. But now, it is going to be dangerous. What it is, I do not know at this moment. And I'm not recommending any, but I'm saying we need to pay attention. If we keep on keeping it, we are asking for doom. It reminds me of an image. When a child is born, the mother puts on a diaper, and diaper is very good, very effective, does the job. But when the child grows up, and the volume grows up, increases, the diaper is no longer, the child still wants to wear the diaper, becomes ineffective. There has to be a change. Either we will do it voluntarily with understanding and it will be in our control, or it will be forced upon us because the only other end is destruction of our species. Not the earth. Earth will survive long, 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 long after we are gone. It's the human species that is in danger. We are at a place as a human race following the old paradigm where there's a party in the penthouse and guess what? There's fire in the basement. And we are not willing to pay attention to that. We are still talking about how to improve our party, how to get more beer. And yesterday we could drink 5 beers, and can we get 10 beers today, or 5 years from now, how many more beers will we drink? We are refusing to take care of the fire in the basement. That's where our children and grandchildren, they will look at us and they will say, when that fire was there, when you detected it, what did you do? You are not going to change the system by the goodness of your heart and saying, we are charitable and we are doing it for those people in the poor countries. No, do it because your children and grandchildren's life is tied to that today. And if you don't, we are all gone. Now, when I say the model that, where's the fulcrum, where's the power? There is. There was an unintended consequence of our industrialization. During the agriculture age, which is not more than 8,000 to 10,000 years ago, we became, what is that word for when the human beings think they are the gods, and we created God in our own image? Go to any country, the God, whatever the perception of God is, looks just like them. So God was not God. He or she or it was created in our image because we were the only species on Earth who did not depend on just hunting, gathering like all other people do. We could create our own food. But when industrialization came, our tools became far more powerful than us. Far more powerful. One person with a machine gun or a tank can kill 10,000 people, and they have no defense. The system became too complex, too powerful, too interconnected, and the average human being gave up and became helpless, hopeless. Today, why so many social problems are rising? Because people have given up. They feel no longer empowered. Whether the bankers are doing it or whether the politicians are doing it, who is doing it? But they are not doing it. We gave up. If we have to solve this problem, we have to understand that common people have to be empowered, not the machinery. We're destroying people because we want more fuel for our machineries, for the fire we want to create. We destroy entire nations, entire people. That doesn't count. We need fuel. If we have to have our children and grandchildren in this nation, in America, in whatever we call civilized countries, you will have to empower people around the world. This is a Titanic which is sinking. And all hands have to be present in order to serve, rather than just few people saying, we will do it and we will throw you crumbs. No, 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 no. Everybody has to help. Everybody has to join. There can be no one sitting around. In today's world, if you wish to empower people, and this is where I come to the fulcrum, it is going to be education. Education for common people, education for masses, education for people you do not know. Because your fate lies in their hands, like it or not. We have to provide education. We have to expand our concept of education. This education that we call education was designed for industrial age, for creating people who can learn quickly to do specific jobs. So it got specialized. Left hand doesn't know what the right hand is doing, and right hand doesn't need to know what the left hand is doing, and it became disconnected. We have to expand our image of what education is. If we want this heaven that industrialization thought or we perceived or imagined can bring for us, we have to empower those unempowered people. We have to provide them the education. They have to solve their problem. They're not begging for you. They have pride. They're dignified people. They want to do things. They want to participate, but there's no room for them to participate. Allow them that place. And they'll save your children and grandchildren. That's where the fulcrum is. And please understand the power that you hold. Why am I here speaking to this group? Is because you hold tremendous power, both individually as well as collectively. I'm not going to tell you what to do, but wherever you are, whatever you are, don't criticize, don't point fingers. It won't help any. You can change all the governments, you can do all those things, but as long as that paradigm exists, nothing will take place in the long run. And paradigms will only be changed when an enormous number of people are applying their energy to create the new paradigm that we need. but it will take all hands, all help. And wherever you are, whatever you can do, you can teach one child, you can, and I'm not saying just for developing countries education is needed here because we are stuck in that old paradigm. Education, education, education. That is the fulcrum. With that, we have to change the paradigm. If we don't, I don't know what will happen to you. Thank you very much. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you very much for making this possible.
Thank you, Balbir. Thank you very much. Okay, gracias, Balbir.
Thank you, Balbir. Thank you very much. It's been wonderful.
Thank you, Balbir, for your capacity for inspire people and for helping me so much, support me. This gentleman was able to support me when I was stressed because it was a very complicated process, and then he sent me letters every week and said, go, go, and go. And then I would like to acknowledge him publicly for his support to me.